player that you have? Is my voice clear? Kind of soft. Okay. Let me do a bit setup.
Okay.
How about now? Okay. Is my voice okay? I'm still kind of low. Give me a second. How do I say? Okay, right? I'm feeling slow. Huh?
Recording
Okay.
forward.
All right. I'll start over. So this is purely my experience, so it might not work the same for you guys. Okay. All right. I hope that from this presentation, you guys can identify the players that you guys have in your community, and then the second one is that you have to know that everyone is not the same. So from those, you can practice from here what you learned from this presentation, so you can practice it to your community. And then the other one is also contribute to your community how to deal with those kind of players. All right. First one, my name is Sugeng. I am L2 from Surabaya, Indonesia. So I rarely say these to everyone because I am a shop manager for one of the small shops in Surabaya. It's the Outpost. So currently, I play Magic because I love looking at people sacrificing stuff to my Phyrexian Generator. You know, it's a combo for me if I play with my KD on sacrifice. All right. Okay, so as a shop, it's COVID pandemic has been a hard time for us. It's also a hard time for all of our players. You know, all of us can't play Magic, so everyone gets scared getting infected. So when the COVID started to subside, the LGS started open again. 2 years passes already, right? So many of the players also changed. So most of the players have a new job, so they don't really have the time to play anymore. So I was like confused, like, oh, what can I do to jumpstart the shop? So, yeah. So someone started to introduce me to do. I mean, someone suggested me to do workshops. So I started doing that like a couple times. We're going to have another one in a couple months also. So here we are now. So the first thing about the shop. So we're a hobby community shop. So one of the things that we do is workshops. So we teach people how to play Magic. Sometimes we even have some player who ask us to do workshop for their community. So if one of the players usually say, "Hey, can you help us teach us like my friends to play Magic?" So I usually do that too. So all right, the next one beside Magic, so we also do board games and Pokemon card games. Okay, so once in a while, we also open up a booth to teach Magic in University Bazaar around the shop. So we have done this couple times. No, not yet done. Sometimes with different universities. So we try to diversify the players that we can really teach. Something that we notice is that every university has their own big player type. So if, for example, if I go to a like technical university like programming stuff, they are more like player who likes to play Magic because they like to win. Sometimes they like the game works, how the game works. So those are different if you go to something like an art university. If you go to the art university, city player will like the art more. Okay. One of our player is actually an fan manager for for a fighting game community. Sometimes we partner with them when we do our workshops too. sometimes we open the workshops next to each other so we can help each other. So, well, lately Magic started doing printing cards in Japanese special art, right? So the newest thing we can do is the newest thing we do is actually we open workshop in Japanese events. So the one thing that really helps is actually the Jumpstart 2022. So the booster works well from the Japanese event, like people are getting interested in there. Sorry Ryan, it's not me cosplaying, it's one of the cosplayer. So I think Tatak was there. Alright. Okay, so I'll start a bit in the a story on Magic. So in the beginning, as you guys, does anyone know the picture? Who is Richard Garfield? Anyone? Yes, the creator, the almighty, the math professor. Yes, yes. Okay, so as most of you already know, Richard Garfield created Magic the Gathering, right? In the beginning, all of us, I think it's a fun game for me. So I think all of us likes the game because it's fun, right? So after the fun, after sometimes players started, I think the players started to identify how they have fun with the game. If you know any of these persona, feel free to type it in the chat. Okay, so I'll explain it a bit about this persona. So these are the types of players that we have in Magic. All right, the first one, the Timmy. Timmy is a power gamer. So Timmy is a player who loves fetish or big creatures. So he likes to play with big creatures, trying to have fun with those kind of creatures. So he likes to hit people with a big, sometimes big troll also. Remember that Timmy doesn't have to be young. Timmy are the player who plays Magic because he wants to enjoy the game, especially if you play with your friends. Hi, is the video lag? Let me try to let me stop my video just so I think my internet is a bit laggy. I'll stop my video, okay? All right, go back to Timmy. Timmy's main goal usually play for fun. So I believe all of us are Timmy in our inside. All of us have Timmy in our inside, small Timmy inside. Okay. All right. The next player is Johnny. Johnny is a combo player. Johnny is a combo player. So combo is a small way to express himself. So he plays to win his own game using a combo. Sometimes he doesn't have to win, he just wants his combo to go off. Usually Johnny likes to play with cards that no one's to play. So he's trying to try to find a combo that, oh, it works with this, so it's so cool. So those kind of people likes card interactions. So if Johnny playing in a game, he doesn't care if you win once or twice or 10 times out of 100. He only cares that his combo works. He's really, really happy when the combo can go off. Some Johnny loves eating sugar too. Okay. All right. The next one is Spike. Spike's tournament grinder. Spike is a competitive player, so he likes to win. He doesn't care what deck to play as long as he wins. Spike is a glory bringer. So if Spike see a way to win, he will win. Spike's care the more quantity of wins than quality. So if he wins 9 out of 10, he'll think, I should win the last one too. I should win 10 out of 10. All right. So sometimes he just think, what did I do wrong? He needs to win every time in every of his game. Next one is actually Melvin. Melvin is the design mastermind. Melvin is a player who likes to see the game from the mechanics of the cards. For him, it's all about design, all about the structure. Sometimes, if you want to win, he'll be a judge. You just want to see how the card works. Okay, so next one. One of our player is actually a Melvin. So he plays with all the cards that can steal cards from other library. So he likes to, like, you can say, picking other players' deck. So he doesn't really care to win. If he wins, then he's happy with stealing other cards. True. A lot of judges actually can be a Melvin too, but not everyone is a Melvin. Okay, next one is a Fordos. Fordos Steward of Myth. Fordos player are, I think, one of the most unique players. So these kind of players, they play not because, okay, I want to play the game. Sometimes they play because they like the art, they like the story, or sometimes they just love both. So if you like the art and you play Magic, you're a Fordos. So these kind of players usually you see it on a design, on art classes or art universities. So one of the players that I know bring his friend to a shop. So because the friend is a fan art of Anato Finstar, the Fordos artist. So he started playing Magic because he see the card, oh, it's so cool, and he was looking at all the Anato Finstar's art. Is my sound fine? Do I get cut off? All right. So, okay, thanks for the chat. All right, let's start with a bit test with the. And does anyone know this card? What this card is? You can type it in the chat. Yes, she's a waifu for some of us, not me though. Okay, so this is a Liliana Dreadhorde General. Does anyone know the artist? Who the artist is? Correct. So it's the Final Fantasy artist. So Yoshitaka Amano. He draw like the old, I mean, from Final Fantasy 1 to, is it until now? I do remember he's the drawer for Final Fantasy 7. So yes, I cannot wait till Final Fantasy Player 2. So all right. So how about this one? Does anyone know the artist? Does anyone know what the artist do? Yep. Yes. So he's also one of the horror manga. So he draws for, like, he has his own secret players. So this is from Tsuji Ito's. So he draw Elasnorn from 1 2. So how do you identify yourself? I'm curious. What player are you? Tony's fine. Just a bit about myself. So just to let you know, guys, these archetypes it can be mixed. So for me personally, I think I'm a Fordos, Timmy, and Johnny. So I like playing with big creatures. I like doing some cool combos. I'm checking out the stories also. Sometimes I do like some arts like Wonder. I collect those Wonders. If you think Johnny, why? What makes you think you're Johnny? What makes you think you're Melvin? Ooh, I see lots of Johnny here. Melvin. Okay, I'll read some of them. I have 7 EDH that they are combo decks. Yes, sounds like Johnny. Not on TV, that's for sure. I believe all of us have some TV inside, even though you're Johnny. I believe I am a Johnny because I like being splashy plays, winning so important to me as I mean the combo should make people go wow. That's really a Johnny. Never doing the West matches more than yes. Johnny and Timmy's those kind of archetypes they don't really expect to win. For Timmy hanging out is a lot better. For Johnny, you just like, oh, I want to call my combo go off. Can I choose one? Yes, you can choose all. These archetypes are actually inside all of us. It's just that some of them are dominant, some of them just mid. So sometimes they change based on situations. Personally, if I meet someone who likes the story, I'll be photos for the Johnny player. So I usually talk to them with how cool the art is. If they are art student, if they're a programmer, I usually say I'll be more relevant. Johnny Bravo is not here, sadly. Got work for life. That's also cheap. Okay, I'll read more. Melvin more than Johnny. I love creating decks with themes and a lot of synergy. Sometimes they show me unexpected combos. Sounds like Johnny, the combo player. Like Johnny, while I'm playing to win, qualifying for PT is always on my mind. I do have a soft spot for this thing called Dual Commander. Being able to put together a consistent June in out from type deck for the format that works and place all my favorite cards from Modern puts winning the backseat, at least for the tournament. Getting our player the format through a door they're familiar with. Usually the Modern deck or their multiplayer Commander deck becomes combined. Making Pocket is nice though. Still nice. Yep. Sounds almost like. Okay. I guess I'll move on. Okay, so I wonder if collecting a certain favorite art of a card can be considered for those. I think it's a 4 dose. I personally I think I'm a 4 dose too because I collect Wonders. Technically it's more Melvin, but Rebecca quite just have her first secret layer and I'm ordering it. So I think I'm a 4 dose now for the Melvin. Yes, I am the Wonder holder. I have like 250 plus Wonder. 10 foils, right? 10 foil, the original one. Okay, I'll continue next. So those are the archetypes of the players. So if you're good at identifying yourself, you can start identifying your friends. People are around you. Okay, so why do we do workshops? The first reason is quite simple. We like to spread the fun. It's fun to play Magic. For some players that I know, they started playing with their children. For some parents, it can be a connector between the parent and the children. I know some parents, one or two parents who let their kids play Magic so the kids doesn't get into drugs. Yes. If you play Magic, most of the time they don't have money to spend on the drugs. Okay. Some players started to move on with their life. They started to should do drugs cheaper. Technically, yes, but Magic is a bigger drug than those kind of drugs. Right. So most players are actually move on with their lives. Some player grows old, their priority in life change. Some players who start a new job who try to keep up with Magic, but most of the time they can't come to the shop, so they stop playing at all. For some, they have kids now. Some who has partners, they start spending more time with their partners and kids. Similar judging, some judges also move on because of their works and families. Right? So they stop altogether. Stick cardboard is way better than drug, yes. That's why research always sells better. Right. Specific products. Starting with Eldrin, what he started to target specific segmented players. So in the end, many players with limited budgets started to get Slim also. So some buys drugstores, some don't even buy the drugstores at all. So with so much product variation, the market the bigger the market, the Shopee did. This type of product and format also create the need for specialized judges. So also the next one is some players move on. So those players they still buy products. So but they stop playing at all. They don't really have time to stop by and play. They stop at all. They start to become collectors. In the end, we have to find more players. Remember, COVID lasted for 2 years. Many of our players who used to be in college grads now they entered the workforce. They still like floating boosters. They just don't really have time to play or play them anymore. So I know this one guy who bought more Blacker booster because he just loved the voice. But he stopped playing at all. Alright. So the main reason for me is actually growth. So there are two types of growth. The first one is market growth, right? With more players, equals more income. But there's the other one I think it's the most important one. So the growth that I'm trying to say is the growth of my staff. If I do events, I usually put one of my younger player as my staff. So a couple of months ago, this idea came in because one of my players brought his future stepson to the shop. Yes. The dad, not the dad. The player is actually dating the mom of the younger player. So he mentioned that his future stepson was very quiet, very passive. So I had a discussion with him about the kid. He was worried that the kid will have a hard time in the future. Especially the mom has a plan to send him to school in Germany. So the mom is busy working all the time, so she doesn't really have time to teach the kid. The mom is the breadwinner of the family. So I proposed to hire the kid as one of my teaching staff for the workshop, so he can learn how to communicate. So he will learn to have some self-confidence also. The kid can also learn how to work in teams. I know it's not easy, especially 2 years of COVID. But at least the player says yes. So this is actually inspired by the judge community too. So when I was a new L2, I tried to apply GPs, right? I was very, very green. I don't have that many experience. So the judge manager he never gave me those chances, I will never improve. So those same idea, I use it on the shop, trying to improve the players. So at least I have one more capable stuff to have me in the next motion. Okay, the challenges on doing workshops. So doing workshop requires lots of trial and errors. Nobody teach me how to do those workshops. So the worst thing that happened to me was actually a language barrier. In Indonesia, we don't use English at all for our daily lives, unless you're an English teacher or a programmer or export import stuff, or if you work for an overseas company. At school, I know that we got exposed a little bit English, but mostly it's written English. It's quite hard to speak and make it in English. But in the end, practice makes it better. We have a player who started with 0 English proficiency last November. Now he learns a bit more English. He learns more English vocabulary. So remember that goal is that always self. The next challenge is actually something really common. It's a low conversion rate. So this is actually caused by wrong market or correct strategy. One way to deal this is to more workshops. The more workshops done, the more feedback received, the more information received, get better result. So specific products also works for specific market. For example, Chapter 22 is quite useful for the Japanese cosplayer community. One of the hardest competitors is actually from online games. With easier access to Android games, less player needs to interact. Yes, it's Mobile Legends. But on the other hand, this is actually also Magic's or other card games' strongest point. In one of the previous example, the future standard wants the kid to socialize, right? He wants the kid to have a better way to talk. So that's why he introduced the kids to the Magic. It's quite simple. In those cases, the kid actually plays for Hartawan. Alright. Another challenge is that I see that many parents see Magic as expensive. I don't think it's true. One of my memorable experiences of doing workshops, one of the mom comes over and says Magic is expensive. She says that it's an expensive cardboard. That's what she said. So I tried to give her another point of view. For most of the middle classes in Surabaya, we usually go to Bali for vacation, right? For a 2-bedroom villa costs around like 150 Singapore dollar a night. So two nights in Bali actually nets you a new Magic deck. Okay, so this is filling up welcome is actually challenge that happen when after the workshop is done. Most of the player usually play only with their friends, right? I think all of us including me. But when a new player comes over to the shop, many of them doesn't really get the warm welcome. So this is actually mirroring from your judge learning program. Does anyone agree still remembers what's the judge learning program? Anyone? Alright. If you're a new judge going to a new event, usually if you go to your first event, usually you will be paired with one of the judges that have more experience. That one judge will be your buddy. He will help you to be comfortable during the event. If you have questions, you can ask him. Basically, he's your contact person for the duration of the event. So if it's my place, the first thing I do is usually talk to the players, trying to find out what kind of play they want, what's their archetype. Then usually I will introduce him to someone who knows more, someone similar, someone who can guide them, someone that can help them with their decks. So those are actually the hardest challenge to deal with. So what can us judges we can what do us judges we can do to help? The first thing you do is actually there's a workshop, you can like come over and say hi. Hi, say hi and just say hey hi how is it going? Those are actually enough fun. If you have some info when there's an event or something, you can also share it. Those are a lot of help. If there's a new players coming over to your LGS, try to welcome them, talk to them, be nice, make them comfortable with your community. If you have friends, invite them, teach them how to play Magic. The hardest thing to do is actually try to help in creating a warm, welcome, and positive environment. Those are very important. A player comes to community and makes them feel like, if you make them feel like an outsider, they will never go back. And they will tell their friends that, oh, this place are home. I rather move. So those are actually stuff that gossip. In my place, I always try to remind players that, hey, this is learning. Because we started to have a second generation player here. So the player are like 14 and 15 years old. So I try to keep telling players when we're out of the line and say, hey, keep it PG learning. Make the parents feel that this is a nice place, this is a safe place for them. Okay? That's it from me. Any questions? Remember that knowing that those archetypes helps on making the player feeling safe and warm. There's no option for the presentation. Should we wait until it's fixed? Was there an error? Any questions? Any questions? Look, we still have 15 minutes. We can discuss how to deal with those archetypes if you want to, and why and what. If you're curious about those archetypes, and honestly, which of the 5 archetypes that you think are the best at store stuff? I think they all have their own plus and minus. I don't think any of them. For those players are actually what? I think Timmy and Johnny. Spike usually rarely wants to play store stuff. How do you approach universities to make workshop? Find a university around your place, and then usually they'll ask for, hey, we need some money to make this event, blah blah blah. You go in from there. That's what I do. That's one of them. For store stuff, maybe it's for deck builders. For first timer, I don't think Spike is a good one. Because rarely people come over and they want to play for winning. They usually just the first timer usually comes over just to play for fun. So I don't think Spike is the best option. Usually Johnny and Tim is the best options. Or Melvin is also the best one. How to convince the new generation that has known the game via app like MTG Arena. Sorry, the Arena that paper matching is more fun and attractive to play. It is actually quite hard. It depends on the type of the players. If those kind of players will know the benefit of playing paper magic as soon as they start going forward. Okay, so we have around 2-3 university outreach plan. Are they really effectively getting word out for future? I think actually it depends on the university. You have to every university class has their own unique. For example, art student usually likes the game either from the art, that's one, or you can from the mathing part. So they like the mechanics. Some of them likes also the combo too. So it's usually different from every class, university class. So from a shopkeeper point of view, how do you put strong personality players who create a generally toxic environment? Most of the players that I know, they're quite easy to talk to. So if I have a goal on like keeping the community, the players not too competitive, sometimes they lower themselves. I know some players are helping me with that, so I'm quite grateful I have those kind of players. Toxic players usually plays. I'm okay for me playing with toxic players, but trying to keep the environment quite healthy is hard. How do you usually open the game? As a judge, I'm having a hard time opening the game. You can. It actually depends on the area. So those are more specific. So you can like PM me, you can like try to discuss some stuff. A workshop mainly for new player acquisition, what kind of workshop for player retention? Workshop actually works both ways, so you can get new players. But remember, those workshops also help your staff or yourself grow more. I think those are the best purpose. Those are my main purpose I do workshop. Actually, the growth of my staff. You need to teach the good things for new players, like how to accept the sad reality. Reality is sad, but magic's fun. Is there a judge version of these player types? Technically, we are all players before a judge, so I think all of us are. Those should apply to us too. About the university, so you need to find universities around you, randomly send proposal to the workshop there. You can PM me later and talk about that. You can and discuss some ideas. How do you think the changes made in startup will affect your MTG future? Currently, I have no idea. For me, the current standard is quite heavy in black, so I guess it's going to last longer. Sugeng, Shashi, and QT. So what's the other two? Shieldred can, yes, Shieldred will last for another year. Or is it 2 years? Oh, another 2 years, sorry. The plan for me was actually to buy all those new Kamigawa lands after they it out, but I guess I have to propose. I have to postpone that for another year. As a store manager, what is your daily routine? I play Magic. It's my daily routine. What else? People have their bigger income business as yes. Yes, it is the best daily routine, but after a while, it's just work. Work is work. Similar to being a judge, if you if someone hires you as a judge, we will show. I think if someone hires us as a judge, I think all of us will be trying to be as professional as possible, right? So those are the same. That's the fun for your player and scam out players to sacrifice their permanent. Okay, so the most I make people sacrifice, I think it was 13. Was it 13 or 20? I can't remember. I think those are my most memorable time playing Phyrexian Obliterator and the Gideon Sacrifice. What are your thoughts on Universe Beyond cards? They do attract new players on different fandoms. Have they considered Fordos? Yes, they will attract new players. Those are normal. I know one of the 40k player actually buying a deck of Magic because he likes it. He wants to start playing. Are they considered Fordos? Yes, everybody started somewhere. It can be a Fordos. A bunch of my friends came back to Magic because of 40k. I know like two players who's going to buy boxes of Lord of the Rings. So, and I think I'm going to be one of them. Because I used to play the one of Lord of the Rings card game. The old one, the original one from like 18 years ago or more. What are your thoughts about player drops and how it affects our community? Technically, it makes me spend more money because I know some players are quite well for the community. I don't think it's affecting. I mean, for my community in Surabaya, I don't think it's affecting us much because sick player don't have access to sick players. I'm excited for Doctor Who. Yes, me too. I don't like the latest Jodie Foster. I'm a fan of the Killmonger. Not only tech made some people to go back and try DH, then DH and the rest is remake and Transformer DH. Not nice. Which one is Yuji Shinkawa Sinclair? Curious. Oh, the Metal Gear Solid one. Sorry, I don't play Metal Gear Solid, so I don't know the artist. I'm a Final Fantasy player. So my first Final Fantasy was Final Fantasy VII. It was very memorable for me. So that's how I get to know the artist. Yes, I read this there, but you can like resurrect it with Gift Sharks. Any other questions? I think multi and crossover would be a great opportunity for team workshop. What do you think about team workshop? I have no idea about LTR, and I think I don't it doesn't fit me the newest LTR film. So I still love the original one from like 20 years ago. I think those are the best ones. So I don't think there's going to be more fans getting into Magic from that. I just wish the best for okay. might not die in FF7 remake. Is it real? Then I should start playing the FF7 remake. I wonder if turning on F11 in the custom will be fun. LARP is fun. LARP will always be fun, no matter what. LARP to speak Elvish. Okay, any other questions? Any questions, anyone? For the community archetypes? For the past 15 minutes, I hope it helps for you guys to grow your community. Remember that everyone is different. Although we are, I mean, you can't be the same archetype. It doesn't mean you guys are the same 100%. I hope it's useful for you guys. Right. That's it from me.